ships a day. You're not getting 100 ships a day through one lane. So this is really intended to create a problem, a bottleneck, and support their desire to take money for this, which is the demand of the IRGC, but not the negotiators. Maybe. So I don't see how this becomes the basis for anything. It's much too questionable and minor a concession to mean anything. It has, however, stopped the fighting for a few days, which I guess is good, huh?
Right.
Meanwhile, we're having trouble with the announced ceasefire with Hamas because maybe we prematurely announced that Hamas was going to give up its arms. Hamas, and we may have the same problem here, that they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They're willing to give up their arms, but they have conditions, like Israel has to leave. The Israeli army has to leave before they give up their arms. Well, of course, they're never going to give up their arms if the Israeli army leaves. And Israel would be foolish to leave after all of this with Hamas in control of its arms, the things to kill them with. Israel, on the other hand, says we're not going until all of the arms are gone, and we have assured ourselves of that. And then we'll go. And the Board of Peace has, which maybe does show us a little bit of difference here, because this Board of Peace was put together by America and by Trump and Rubio. The Board of Peace said Israel is correct. That was the correct understanding of the agreement. The correct understanding of the agreement was that Hamas would give up its arms, and then and only then would Israel, in stages, withdraw, with the ultimate goal of leaving the policing of southern Lebanon and Lebanon to the Lebanon government to restore the sovereignty of the Lebanon government, which the Board of Peace acknowledges would not be the case today. Lebanon is not yet ready to accomplish that. So we'll have to see what happens there. But that's another one of those ceasefires that isn't, and they are shooting at each other. I mean, let's face it. Israel is going to, until it's called off and they're safe, they're going to make every opportunity to destroy Hamas. Why? Because Hamas is dead set, actual word, on killing them. It's the raison d'etre for their existence. They're born taught that. I don't know too many countries where people are born and from a very early age, like the first time they can think or hear or before that, they're told they should kill Jews and Americans. But that's Hamas, the group that seems to get a great deal of sympathy and support from the Democrat Socialists of America, which gives you an indication that the major distinction now between the two political parties in America is one cares about America, loves America, and the other seems to think we're hateful and have to change dramatically. The Houthis are involved in back and forth with Saudi Arabia. Right now, we haven't involved themselves in that, nor has Israel. Will we? Don't know. Given their unwillingness to really take a strong position with regard to Iran, and they were the ones who, through the crown prince, called the president and begged him not to go forward with the strikes on Iran because their teeth are chattering and their urination is not under control. So I don't know how much we're going to want to put out for them. Over in Ukraine, you've got both sides trying to position themselves for a stronger position in the negotiations as possible. Russia has rather continually, as we pointed out with Maria on the show the other night, remember, Ted?
Yep.
They're very regularly hitting Kyiv and Kharkiv. Now, they're not doing it with the intensity they were a week ago. It's not like massive attacks. It's like attacks to let them know they're still there. Sometimes they kill people, sometimes they don't. They make no pretense to be aiming them toward military targets. They go right at apartment buildings, right at stations, train stations, right at hospitals and schools even. In return, Ukraine is regularly now bombing Russia. And they're doing it with long-range drones, including one which they don't use often, but they use that hasn't been used yet to this extent, that can go 2,200 miles into Russia, which covers almost all of the occupied territory of Russia. And they are doing a good job of inflicting serious damage on the energy supplies in Russia and on the economy of Russia and on Putin with a population that seems to be turned into a population that's very anti-war, largely because Putin really cannot formulate a sensible reason for this war. What does he tell the Russian people this is for? We're going to force Ukraine to be part of us when they don't want to be? But Ukraine continues long-range strikes against Russian logistics, fuel facilities, and military infrastructure. Russia continues its strikes on innocent civilians. Do you see a difference? And why do we have this ambiguity about Ukraine? And you're talking about somebody that would have every reason to tell you how bad Ukraine can be when it wants to be bad, but there is no distinction between the two. Russia is a totally different situation. Not Russia, the man running Russia. Russia continues to fight in Donetsk. They are. I'm going to have to take a look and try to narrow it out somehow. I've tried. It's a little hard. How many soldiers they've lost in Donetsk? They are desperate to take that fortification. Remember, we go back a year, and they wanted Ukraine to give it to them, even though they can't capture it. Yesterday and today, the heaviest ground fighting is in eastern Donetsk, where Ukraine responds with counteroffensives. And so far, no major breakthrough by Ukraine. In southern Ukraine, Ukraine is doing to Crimea what Russia is doing to Donetsk. Remember, Crimea, they took in 2014. It was their big pearl of great price. They used to have their submarines there. It is a great seaport. It's a beautiful place for vacations. Not anymore. If not all of the bridges, 2 of the 3 bridges are destroyed, it's very hard to get there. It's bombed, so it's dangerous. And almost all vacationers have left this summer. No vacations in Crimea. And there is the constant fear that Ukraine may take it back. So this war is up for grabs. And no matter what your original position on this, if you don't respect the Ukrainian people, you better read the Odyssey. So my good friend Scott Lebedo last night was at NYPD's National Night Out Against Crime. That's a national thing, and we used to do it a lot in the days of 2,000 murders a year and murders all over the country. It was. I used to go to the rallies in all 5 boroughs. I used a helicopter for National Night Out Against Crime. It always took place in early August, and I would make a speech in each borough: the Bronx, Manhattan. I remember even once I used a helicopter into Central Park so I could make it to Brooklyn. So they were having the event in Staten Island National Night Out Against Crime, which has a very, very long and distinguished history. And the people of Staten Island did not want the mayor to speak. And he got to speak for all of less than a minute. He was booed. He was treated with tremendous disrespect. Probably Scott Lebedo, who is a great artist, among other things. Scott Lebedo was probably, I don't know that he was leading this, but he leads everything he's involved in. So I'm sure he was very enthusiastically protesting a mayor that he considers to be a traitor to the United States. And he got a heart attack right in the middle of it. He went down with a cardiac arrest. He was rushed to Staten Island Hospital. He had an emergency operation. I sent him. I tried to reach him last night. I couldn't get through. I left him a voice message. Yes. I know I got through because tell us, Rob, the message we got back.
Both the mayor and I, the mayor made me aware of it last night. So I shot out a text to Scott, and then Scott responded. He said, just got out of surgery a little while ago, and it is the first thing I heard. The mayor had left him a message. He said, it totally lifted my spirits. Send him my love. I'll be okay. That's straight from Scott Lebedo.
I've tried to reach him all day today. We made about 4 or 5 calls, but he's not answering. We've left messages, and we understand. I went through this just a few months ago, and for about 2 days, Dr. Maria wouldn't let me take calls because you really do need the, people are calling and they want to talk to you. I want to talk to them, but I want them to get better. And I think we've gotten the perfect situation right now. He knows I care about him. He knows I'm thinking about him. He knows I'm praying for him. And when he's ready, he'll talk to me and everybody else who's doing that. This guy is exceptional. He's exceptional. He's an exceptional man, also exceptionally talented painter, an exceptionally talented performer, and a really, really enthusiastic American.
Yeah.
You need enthusiastic Americans today. And he's one tough guy.
He's so had it with the crap that's going on in New York.
I know.
It's driving him crazy.
But he's able to deal with it, even though he sometimes uses foul language, whatever. He's able to deal with it in a very colorful and somewhat entertaining way.
Very New York way.
Yeah. Mondami had less than a minute to talk in Staten Island. I bet the people in Staten Island are really pissed that they gave him a minute. Mondami is something that the people of Staten Island probably still can't believe. And probably it is fueling their secessionist movement tremendously. Now, a couple of items before we get to what I'm looking forward to. More women are working now than men, second year in a row. Women hold more jobs than men in the U.S. for the third time in U.S. history. Third time, sorry. So they have 79.64 million jobs for women, 79.34 million jobs for men. So that's 304,000 extra jobs for women. In the last 12 months, about 95 added positions went to women and very few to men.
When the police subsequently
and this is down from when it used to be 75% men and 25% women, just 20 years ago. And the researchers say that they believe now, even though this happened twice sporadically before, they believe this is now a trend. And I don't want to just off the top of my head just speculate on all the reasons that it might be. But it's worth looking into in some detail, don't you think? How about this suggestion to deal with the data centers? We need data centers in order to grow our computers. Put artificial intelligence aside, let's talk about quantum computing, meaning being able to do something that could take a year in nanoseconds. That's just an exaggeration. That could help cure an illness. Or for that, you need right now an extraordinary amount of energy. And many of the communities are fighting these data centers somewhat narrow-mindedly on the theory that it's going to raise their bills and destroy their environment. Will you get the damn environment thing out of the way? It's done enough damage to us. It doesn't do any damage to your environment if you put it in the right place. And if you've ever flown over America, it's only about 8 or 9% of the property of America that's inhabited. But these people have come along, my friends, who all are here, and I don't know if this is pie in the sky or it's space cadet, but they want to put the data centers up in space.
That's what's good.
They want to put it up in space and have it communicate back down here so it doesn't use up space on Earth. That's
what's going to wind up happening, I think. That's going to be the real solution to the problem.
I thought the president had a pretty good solution in saying that if you're going to put in one of these giant data centers where you make a lot of money, you're going to have to pay for the electricity and make a provision for it. And we do know, Dr. Maria and I in particular, do know about some very, very promising possibilities there with these massive generators that can be dedicated to a purpose. And they're big, but they're not as big as these monstrosities. And you do know that as we go along with this, we'll figure out how to do this. And I predict that 10 years from now, a generator that can generate enough electricity for an entire city might fit into this room. Let's see if I'm right. Big Pussy, his name that you would know him by from the Sopranos. Was Salvatore Big Pussy Bonpensiero. Big Pussy Bonpensiero. He was one of the main characters in The Sopranos. He was a good friend of mine. I performed with him in the Inner Circle when he helped me perform my last Inner Circle performance of an extraordinary production called Godfather the Musical, in which I played or attempted to play the Godfather. Nice. And Big Pussy was extraordinarily helpful. You should know about Vincent Pastore, that he was a very, very, very good actor, a very good singer, a very good musician, and a very good comedian. He was a man of real substance. He played a character that was, a character, and I guess it got associated with him. But this was a very, very high class guy. And here's one of the things at the mass for him that was pointed out. He always gave a giant tip because he was an extraordinarily generous man and a good man, and you would have just liked him. And the picture of his funeral shows Stephen Van Zandt, who is, of course, a great musician, originally with Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, helping to carry the casket of a very fine actor who got typecast into a role that was not him. But he played it better than anybody else could have ever played that role. Vincent Pastore. Good man. Trump is trying his hardest to save Brazil. Brazil is going crazy, saying he's interfering. When didn't we interfere in a country that's communistic? Since they are dedicated to destroying us, tell me why we shouldn't interfere. Look, we are switching around South America. And when we have more time, we'll do just a South American piece. But the work that has been done by our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and our great President, Donald J. Trump, is the most effective work done in South America under any presidency. That is incontrovertible. When we come back, we're going to discuss a movie that's out now. I don't know exactly. It's doing very well. I will say that it is very controversial, in part because of the edits, and in part because of the casting of the Odyssey. Some people think it's brilliant. Some people think it's a desecration of a great work of Western civilization. And we're going to discuss it and tell you what four regular people think of it. We're not movie experts. We're just like you are. We're going to take a short break now, and we will be right back with Dr. Maria, with Rob, and with Ted. And let's see where we go from here. Tunnels to Towers Foundation honors America's greatest heroes. Heroes like the dedicated public servant, Josh Bischoff. Josh began his firefighting career as a volunteer and quickly rose through the ranks to become CAL FIRE's Assistant Chief of Tactical Air Operations. Josh was driven by a deep sense of purpose and a passion for serving others. His leadership earned him great respect across the entire state of California and beyond that, until tragedy struck. And two helicopters collided while fighting a California wildfire. Josh was killed in the crash. He left behind his wonderful wife, Cheryl, and their two children, Derek and Giuliani. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation paid the Bischoff family's mortgage immediately, lifting a financial burden and enabling Josh's family to focus on healing after unimaginable loss. Josh's family is committed to honoring his memory by living with the same drive, the same joy, the same patriotism, and the same purpose that he did. Honor and help heroes like Josh and their families who've sacrificed everything. Donate $11 a month.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code Rudy. Act fast.
These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. Well, Dr. Maria.
Hello, hello.
Welcome. And you're here to assist in this analysis of the great epic Homer's Odyssey. And so is Ted.
Or commonly known as Theodore.
No, we call him Ted. We don't.
Depends if I'm in trouble or not.
Yeah, like when I'm Rudolph.
Yeah.
And there's Rob. The other night, two nights ago, we all went to see and watched the new Nolan movie about the Odyssey, which is his adaptation of it. So let's see if we can, in 1 minute, sort of give you an idea of the story and then how it varied, how it didn't, pictures and their interpretation.
Should we play a quick trailer to let people see?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that might be the best thing to do first. Yeah.
So this is a trailer. This is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which is now in theaters.
And also can be seen in IMAX, modified IMAX, or regular screen.
But you have to go and see it at a theater at this time. So we'll play a quick trailer so you kind of set the scene and give you an idea of what to expect. It's a 3-hour long movie.
It's quite powerful.
After years of war, no one could stand between my men and home. Not even me.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
You're not going to understand any of this. Well, that's give you a flavor of it. And if you watch that, you get a sense that this is an adventure film. And I will say my first comment is it is presented as an adventure film. The poem, which is one of the earliest poems in human history, is a lot more than an adventure film. But Doctor, will you give us like a brief summary of it so that everybody, those who have seen it, those who haven't, can be on somewhat of the same page?
I will give you a quick summary. The Odyssey commonly refers to Homer's ancient Greek epic poem. This was the first great work of Western civilization in the Western Hemisphere. And it was initially all by oral translation.
Yeah, maybe 100, 200 years of that, believe it or
Right,
not.
until it was written down. And it is attributed to Homer as well as the Iliad. Some people will say the Iliad came first and then the Odyssey. It was somewhere around the 8th century, and there was a whole bunch of poems that was lost to antiquity that we don't know about today. But it is the story of Odysseus, which is Ulysses in Latin. And he was the king of Ithaca in his 10-year struggle to return home after the Trojan War. And the Trojan War itself was 10 years long. So he was gone from home for approximately 20 or more years. And the poem's action focuses mainly on the final weeks of that return, with earlier adventures usually told in flashback, while Odysseus wanders the Mediterranean facing monsters. Because you got to remember, at that time, there was still belief in monsters and gods like Poseidon and Athena, and other temptations, while his wife Penelope and son Telemachus, if I said that
Yeah, you said it
correctly,
right, absolutely right, 100%.
deal with very aggressive suitors who have kind of overrun their home and are drinking them and eating them out of house and home because they assume Odysseus is dead. The key encounters with this poem are the Cyclops, the sorceress Circe, the Sirens, the nymph Calypso, divine intervention, especially with Athena. Athena has really gravitated to Odysseus and kind of intervenes with Poseidon in Odysseus' favor. And then hospitality, loyalty, homecoming, the costs of war. And it forms in some sorts, some people will debate this, a sequel to the Iliad. But the word Odyssey entered into English means extended, wandering adventure of intellectual and spiritual quest.
Right. And it is hard to tell whether this preceded or came after the Iliad, because it is told in retrospect. The technical description they give of it, it begins in medias res, means it begins in the middle of the story. It actually begins toward the end of the story. In the Odysseus is trapped on an island. When we, in fact, if we go back to the poem, it begins in heaven, it begins in paradise. A character left out by Nolan, which I have grave suspicion about, is Zeus. Zeus is the chief god, the father of Athena, the boss of Poseidon, who creates all of the problems. But it's a different kind of boss. He's the chief god, but he can't push the other gods around too much, which is why he can't stop Poseidon from torturing someone he admired greatly, Odysseus. These are the things left out of it. And if you look at it carefully, almost anything to do with spirituality is left out of it. This is a very, very woke, very very woke and very, very materialistic interpretation of it, which makes a lot of the great adventure. but makes very, very little of the real purpose of the Odyssey, which I'm going to tell you at the end. So it begins with Odysseus being trapped on the island with the love sick goddess Calypso, and he's got to be removed from there. So Athena gets him removed from there, but where does he end up? He ends up not knowing it on the island with the big cave where the Cyclops, otherwise known as Polyphemus.
That's correct.
And Polyphemus, well, now you describe, one of you guys describe what happens with good old Polyphemus, who's
Big giant Cyclops.
who's bigger than Pussy Bumpin' Sarah.
Well, the Cyclops character it looks straight off of an album cover for the rock band Tool. You have to see this Cyclops. It's scary. It's going to give you nightmares. The movie, we saw it in IMAX, and it was fabulous in terms of special effects.
He was scary before he got blinded.
Yeah, absolutely. But was there anything in particular you would like to expound?
Well,
on?
here's what the Cyclops comes back to his cave, and Odysseus's men have eaten
The cheese.
His what?
His cheese.
It was
He had big
cheese.
bags of cheese, goat cheese.
So they ate his goat cheese.
Yeah.
They ate his goat cheese. So he was really, really upset.
There's an image of him
So
up
he
there.
decided to eat them. Yeah, there you see him. That thing in his hand is one of
One of the
Odysseus' men,
soldiers, yeah.
which he then, you see in the movie, I don't know, you're going to show it? You're going to show him chomping on the guy?
Yeah, when you put him in animation, it's crazy. It's like a Tool video. It's really crazy.
He just eats the guy.
Yeah.
So Ulysses now, here's where we get the first, I think, example of what Homer's trying to achieve. Homer is trying to show people, as he did in the Iliad with the bravery of Achilles. How not just physical bravery, but wit, intelligence.
Because Cyclops in this cave puts this massive rock in front of the opening. So the soldiers just can't run out. They have to really think about what they're going to do. And it's led by Odysseus,
Who is brilliant.
Yes.
And Odysseus, first of all, is asked by Polyphemus, "What's your name?" He gives him a name, which becomes very significant. Nobody. So my name is Nobody. Now, who says Polyphemus is smart?
Yeah.
Polyphemus accepts that. Now, put that aside for a moment. I'm going to show you the significance of that in a minute. Then he starts eating his men. So Odysseus got to figure out, what the hell am I going to do about this? How am I going to stop this? I have to do something. I'm not sure, and I have to go back to the play, how much he realizes that doing this is going to be very damaging, because he's going to be doing damage to the son of Poseidon. And therefore Poseidon is going to put a curse on him. Yeah. But he had no choice. He has no choice. So explain what he does.
Well, it's interesting, right? So we're now at the part where they're in the cave. They have the opportunity. This Cyclops sleeps at night. It's out cold.
But in the
Gotta
daytime, he eats the men.
During the day,
And he's going to get up. He's going to get up and start eating them again.
But these guys have a big window, right? While the Cyclops is sleeping, they can take him out. But they realize just before they're going to slit his throat that they have this giant rock that they can't move, right? They need the Cyclops to move this giant rock.
They weren't getting out unless they had him.
So they have to keep this giant Cyclops alive and find a way to get out with the Cyclops, right? They need the Cyclops to open the door. So somehow they need to keep the Cyclops alive to open the door.
And when you say
they need to protect.
Person doing all the thinking is Odysseus.
Yeah.
Yes, this is Odysseus is the
It's a
one
one-man show.
they were about to kill the Cyclops, right? At the neck while it was sleeping. And Odysseus realized, wait a second, we do that, we all die here of starvation. And so Are we going to give this part away? I mean, people have read that know the Odyssey,
you
right?
give it away.
Understand
It's
this
only
part.
been
This is
around
a-
for-
this is a classic part, right?
3,000
Yeah.
3,000 years.
So they decide to blind the Cyclops. But Mayor, how realistic is that?
What do you mean? How realistic is it? This is a
Yeah.
It's
a myth.
Yeah.
fantasy.
But what
of
less
myth.
because even a blind
Of the
Cyclops,
challenges.
right? They're in a cave. Imagine
Well,
a
I'm
cave.
going to tell you what's so smart about this because
Right.
Homer was a genius. So he blinds him,
Right.
takes out his one eye, the Cyclops Polyphemus, who becomes the Cyclops when this happens to him because he becomes even uglier. His eye, Odysseus takes a pole, puts material around it, lights it up, and pushes it into his gigantic eye, which is the size of, a basketball, and burns out his eye. The Cyclops now can't see, and he is, of course, going crazy, right?
Mhm.
And trying to find them, and they all scurrying around. But he's got to let his sheep out so that he can be fed. So they wait very quietly, moving all around different parts of the cave. And he decides that he'll be able to capture them because he's going to touch every sheep that goes out. And when he gets one of them, you're going to put him aside or he's going to eat him. So that's what he does. The sheep, he opens it up and the sheep start going through, except Ulysses, Odysseus, the smartest Greek of them all, right? The guy who got the Trojan horse into Troy and destroyed Troy. He has all his men put hay on their back, softens it up so it feels like not too different than sheep. And therefore, when he's touching the sheep, the men get down on the ground like the sheep and crawl out. And he touches, including Ulysses, he touches it. He doesn't realize he's letting them go. When he does let them go, and he does realize they're heading for their ship, he comes out, and now this is where it becomes really significant, and he yells, "Stop nobody." All of his consorts around say, "Hey, he's crazy. Stop nobody." Well, how are we going to stop nobody? Because the Cyclops doesn't realize that Ulysses had fooled him by giving him a name called Nobody. He's yelling, "Stop nobody. Stop nobody." And they're all sitting there saying, "What a jerk." And he does get a few of them out of the boat, whatever, but they do get away. And that's the first of his
Challenges.
escapes.
Yes, challenges.
And the first lesson that human intelligence, when used very calmly, very carefully, and very rationally, can defeat evil. That's what this poem is about. It's not about the great escape. And this is not about the garbage that they put out in movies today. We watched like 4 trailers in which the earth was falling apart. And I objected to the
That's
noise,
right, that's
and I objected to the extra effects of this because it moved this much toward a sensational adventure drama rather than a very, very a brilliant analysis of human intellect, human decision-making, and morality and spirituality. And you know who tells you it was? Plato and Aristotle, who used this as the basis for their philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
The stop nobody part, is that something that was more prevalent in the original story? I don't remember hearing the
You didn't hear it. They made so much noise.
Right.
You didn't hear him yelling that. He was yelling.
But he was yelling at, oh
Yeah.
yeah, so that
And they did leave things out. For example, this for time immemorial, this whole thing begins in heaven with Athena prevailing on her father to help. I mean, it isn't Athena who can help Odysseus. It's Athena, given the power by her father, Zeus, that can help him. So she occasionally goes back to Zeus, who explains he can only go so far because Poseidon is a very powerful god. And he does work it out with Poseidon that it'll be a 10-year, that he's not going to kill him.
And
But he's-
Poseidon is a
but-
sea god, right? I believe.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Poseidon is not just, some god. He's like a big god, and Zeus has to negotiate with him. He just can't tell him, this is what you do.
I was pleasantly surprised. I had heard way before it came out, for all these people online were critiquing the Odyssey, and it didn't look good. He's not sticking with the poem. He's hiring actors or actresses that don't make any sense. And one of the initial things that came out was the transgender actor that was Ellen Page, but now is Elliot Page, was playing Achilles. Well, Achilles doesn't have a role really in the Odyssey. It's in the Iliad. And that was totally false. This transgender didn't play Achilles, but it got everybody pretty pissed off. And a lot of people questioned Helen of Troy. To tell you the truth, I could really care less. It didn't follow the poem that she was very light-skinned, and I think it was described as white skin. I didn't care really anything about that. I want us, like I want in business, to hire for talent. I don't care about color. But I think Nolan crossed that line. He wanted to add shock and awe, I don't know. Yeah, and be woke.
It was an African American actress.
But I was pleasantly surprised that I really liked it. Now, it was my first movie in IMAX. I had no idea how powerful the sound in the light, whenever it went to like a day scene, I had to close my eyes for a minute. It was way too much for me. Thankfully, Ted went out and they got me earmuffs. I literally through the whole movie, and it was still too loud for me.
There was an element of sensory overload in that.
Yeah, it shakes your seat too.
Yeah, too much.
And
Too much.
loud and light.
Yeah.
But I did think Matt Damon did a good job.
I agree.
Yeah. And I'm curious how you guys think about how you came away with the movie.
Yeah, like the part where the transgender didn't even realize it at the time. I kind of realized it later as they brought back that actor, right? And you're like, all right, wait, is that a man or a woman, right? I didn't even think of it because they show this Elliot Page.
Mhm.
They show Elliot at the beginning of the movie, right?
Yes.
She is part of the opening, and then they come back, and when they came back and revisited Elliot, that's when I started to question, wait, who is that, a man or a woman? And then in the Helen of Troy part, I agree, Dr. Maria. Yes, I think he did it for shock value. It was such a small, it was an important part of the story, but a small scene, right, where they show her, and it's still a beautiful woman, right? I thought they chose a beautiful woman to play the part, and so at least they didn't go all the way with their DEI, right? Seeing who they could have, who they could have portrayed, right? So I wasn't as hung up on the
criticism. There was this London critic, and I'm not a movie critic. I know what I like, what I don't like. And this, let me see if I can find her name. She is a London critic, Emily Wilson.
Oh, no, Emily Wilson.
She did not like any of it.
She's not just a movie critic.
She's
Emily
an expert,
Wilson
right?
is a Greek scholar
Yeah,
and translator.
yeah. That's
And
why
in
she didn't like
in
it.
2017, she did her own version, her translation of the Odyssey, which is one of the two best-selling ones.
Yeah.
One is by Robert Fiegels, and the other is by Wilson, and they compete as translations of it.
Yep.
Hers would be clearly criticized as a feminist, a feminist woke interpretation
Yeah.
of the Odyssey.
She
So
wrote-
for her, this wasn't enough.
She wrote a scathing review, probably because she is a scholar of
Right.
the poem. And one of her kind of famous quotes is, "I would be ashamed to have written any part of this script." The other person who's a classicist, and she writes for The Guardian, Emily Hauser, as well, said that it didn't really bring out the complexities of the characters. And others say in the poem, Penelope has such a big role that her character was underdeveloped. I think for the surface of it, although it's very, very long, 3 hours, overall, it was good. That's just my opinion. I did happen to know the poem and the Iliad as well, and could see where they fell short. But you have something remarkable in front of you, Mayor Giuliani.
I have a map.
I think this is really neat
I have a map of his travels.
There it is.
for
There is his
Odysseus'
map
travel.
of his travels.
Here,
So
make it
you know, so he begins, of course, in Troy, where he is the one. Odysseus is the one who came up with the idea of building the Trojan horse, leaving it on the seashore of Troy as a sort of an offering of peace and acceptance that they lost the war to the Trojans, and all of the ships, all of the Trojan ships appear to all of the Greek ships appear to leave. Now, in fact, they sail just a short way away on the other side of the island in a cave, all of the Greek army. And a significant number of the best Greek warriors are put in the horse. And a curious Trojan
Mhm.
who feels this is an offering from Athena, the god, and they
That's
also worship Athena, decides to
And you
convince.
you can't offend Athena.
And now this is played out much more in the Iliad than it is in the
Correct.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
And they made it a bigger scene than it actually is in the Odyssey, in the movie. And he takes it into the town, convinces the town people to take it, including, I think, the best advice of the king and the authorities. They take it in. The Greeks wait until nightfall. Nightfall comes, everybody's asleep. They open up, Odysseus opens up his horse. They all drop down, they kill the guards. Most importantly, they open the door, and in comes the entire Greek army, and Troy is no more.
And here's some of the moral dilemma that he's looking back at. They're killing indiscriminately. Yes, it is wartime. Could they take in prisoners? And you see Odysseus kind of reflecting and just looking at his soldiers, just killing everybody in their paths. And so these are some of the complexities Odysseus goes through on his Odyssey.
Yeah, and as you might imagine, there's no complexity at all in Homer. This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So if we want to look at the map, the best we can make out,
Are you able to point
with
that?
ancient
Oh, there you
history,
go.
is that Troy is in present day Turkey. That is near Thrace in Turkey. It no longer exists. It was destroyed. Certain artifacts have been found there, several other places that make this the best guess as to where Troy was. So when they came there, there it is. When they came there, they had to. So here's where the kingdom of Odysseus was.
In Ithaca.
Ithaca.
Do you live in Ithaca, New York, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
yeah, I would say, Ithaca was named after Greece. But
Of course.
there's Ithaca. That's where that was his kingdom. So, and then over here were Sparta, which is Menelaus is from Sparta. That's where Helen was stolen or went with Paris, the prince of Troy, who is clearly an inadequate human being, a coward, and both in the Iliad and a little bit of flashback here. This is where Helen came from. And
You want to show
as you will see, his trip back takes him all the way off course, right? Let's think about it, right? He's here. So he goes back. We'll just trace it really quickly. And then when you watch the movie, he goes back this way.
Oops, I was going to move you. There you go.
I mean, he really goes out of the way. Then we're going to get really complicated because he comes here. This is Secular and Charybdis right here, where he has the sirens on one side and the rocky shore on the other side. This is where the lotus eaters are. And the Cyclops is right here off of Italy. Cyclops is right here off of Italy. So that and Scylla is right here in what would probably be modern day Calabria. So you get an idea that you're getting a real trip around the Mediterranean here, and there are about 9 of these. They do about 6 of them. They leave some out of the movie, but that's okay.
Yeah, it'd be like 6-hour movie.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. There's no harm there. Here's my view of the movie.
Yes, we'd love to hear what you think.
I thought that it was a very, very poor description of Odysseus. Having seen him played by Armin Asante and Kirk Douglas, I would say this is not a real actor. This is he looked like a silly little guy running around in short pants. He didn't have. You remember Gibson's great speech in Braveheart.
Oh, for sure.
So Gibson's not a big man either, but he's a big actor. And you wanted to go fight with Gibson. You wanted to go fight with the Scots when he gave that speech. There's nothing about this that makes you want to fight with this guy. Come on. He doesn't have the gravitas for one of the great masterful heroes in human history who outwits the gods.
Leadership qualities.
Yeah, I mean, part of it has been played one time by Charlton Heston, a little part of it. You need that kind of a massive, great actor to play this part, to dominate the way Charlton Heston dominated in The 10 Commandments, the way Charlton Heston dominated in Ben-Hur, the way Richard Burton dominated in The Robe, the way you need an actor, or Peter O'Toole in Lawrence of Arabia. These are actors of tremendous stature, Shakespearean actors. Some of them are big, and that helps, like Charlton, but some of them just normal-sized people. They're big personalities. He wasn't. So I thought that was probably the greatest disappointment, because without an overpowering Odysseus, you don't get a sense of the play.
What about his son, who seemed quite weak?
Well, not so bad, because the son is quite weak. Okay. What you don't see about the son is he does reform somewhat and becomes much stronger at the end, but he seems at the end the same silly little boy he was at the beginning. Penelope, on the other hand, is magnificent. That's probably the way Penelope was. Anne Hathaway is domineering as Penelope.
That was a strong performance.
I mean, she is unbelievable. Now we talk about the actress who played Helen. Sorry, she wasn't much of an actress.
She didn't have a big role.
Doesn't have to have a big role. I mean, it was not much of an actor. Not much of it. She hardly stole a scene. Let's put it that way. This wasn't an actress of any grandeur. She played 2 roles, by the way. She didn't just play one, which is also kind of silly to have her play 2 roles. I don't know why they did that. But as Helen, also when she went and apologized for having caused the whole thing. What the hell is that out of some kind of modern love novel? That didn't happen. She wasn't going to. The most beautiful woman in the world wasn't going to apologize to anyone.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if I object to her being black or not. I think if she was a great actress, it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
But she was
That's what I
very.
say about hiring for talent.
She was very far
No,
from a
yeah.
great. She was the opposite of a great actress. She made the role rather unimportant. Now, I think it was a great contribution because it gets people to talk about it.
Yes.
Hopefully
and
get
we
people to read it.
learned that
Got me thinking about it
some
now.
curriculums don't cover the Iliad or the Odyssey anymore.
Mhm.
So it was great to talk about something that is over 3,000 years old that had great impact in the Western Hemisphere and that sustained itself all these years
Absolutely.
for thousands of years.
And when young Greeks and young Romans, and eventually all of us, including me, when I had a classical education, this was taught as a morality play. This is about a man who is able to survive on his wits, but still a man who creates a critical error in offending Poseidon. And in offending Poseidon, it takes him another 10 years to get home. Almost loses his wife and child as a result of that. And remember, loses all of his men. Because Poseidon will only make a deal with Zeus to allow him to go back, but he's got to be punished for 10 years, and he's got to lose all of his men to deprive him of the grandeur of being a great commander.
Yeah.
So yes, brilliant, faithful. Ultimately, it displays the beauty of home and what home can mean. Builds a lot in for Greek philosophy, Greek morals, Greek ethics, eventually Christian religion. And it also makes the human being flawed.
Which we are.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautifully done.
And at the end of the movie, he has a new mission, which is to go out and make what reparations or
To honor his men.
for
to
yeah
go
to
western.
honor.
Is that after in this your map?
What actually he has to go do is to pay his respects to Poseidon. That's what he's got to do. He when he first of all, he doesn't give up the throne. That's
Dead, right?
Nolan decided he gave up his throne to his son. He didn't. He left his son in charge, and he and his wife sailed off because they had to personally go and basically show obeisance to the god Poseidon. It also makes the point that the gods rule the earth. Makes a spiritual point, which Nolan blurred completely because
they don't like religion in Hollywood.
well, because they fall into a complete atheism.
Yeah.
The presence of the gods is enormously important, and how man negotiates that. One of the things that that Ulysses does at the very, very beginning is take credit for this without the help of the gods. And that lack of humility is another thing he's paying a price for.
And a lesson that he learned, I suppose.
A lesson that comes out of it, which is you better respect the gods.
Right. Right.
What was the lesson? I don't. Do you folks remember when the men were turned into pigs, and her sister?
It was a demonstration of the way they acted.
And the sister was the bird. What was the meaning there? Or was it the mom?
Yes.
I think the bird one was the pig one had much more significance. I don't know if the bird one, she was just a little jealous of her sister type thing. But the pigs was because the men behaved poorly, not just in that. I mean, you couldn't see it in that one scene. They were just asking for food.
In that
really,
moment, they were actually
Yeah.
But they basically, raped and pillaged their way.
That's what they kind of don't go back to.
Not just his men, all of the men
Exactly.
in that period.
Maybe
It was
that's
interesting because when they went to her house, they were just asking for food, right?
Yeah.
They weren't
Yeah.
rape her or
Yeah.
just wanted food.
Right.
It was almost as if
exactly.
she had preconceived notions of men, which were probably justifiable, I guess, at that time, right? She saw men as
From her
Yes.
perspective.
Well, they
From her
were like
perspective,
that.
Yeah.
You know, when the wars at that time, that was kind of the reward to rape and pillage.
But Ulysses, for all his failures, which he had some, was a level above that.
Yeah.
Which is why he was spared.
a very interesting thing that jumped out to me about Ulysses was that he would always strum his bow first before going in for the kill to give his opposition forewarning.
And that was a law of Zeus, apparently. That's right. They didn't.
I didn't remember that. That's a very good point.
I thought this was a very interesting
And they
point.
considered that part of the laws.
So
of
that it
Zeus.
would be fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play.
And also, by stringing his bow so tightly, his arrow was much more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you go back to the Iliad, Menelaus and particularly Agamemnon will not go to war unless they can convince him to come, because they considered him their most intelligent general. He was the Douglas MacArthur, the Patton of their army, and Achilles was their warrior.
Yeah.
Agamemnon would not go to war without Achilles, and they hated each other.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Agamemnon
they didn't get along.
Achilles
especially at the end.
hated each other,
Yeah.
but Achilles was the greatest warrior in history, and very close to Odysseus.
Not to divert from the subject, but you do approve of Troy in the selection of Brad Pitt.
I thought Brad Pitt was magnificent.
It was well written. I liked all the.
I thought Brad
the
Pitt. I
characters
thought
and all
Brad
of
Pitt
those
fits
were
into
good.
the categories I'm telling you about with
Yep.
Richard Burton, and he maybe he hasn't shown it in too many
He
parts,
could
but
have been the writer, right?
he is an exceptional actor,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and he conveys the great flaw of Achilles, his desire for fame.
Yeah.
And that he actually gives up his life eventually because of his desire for fame.
Yeah.
Whereas Odysseus wants fame, but it's tempered by his love of wife, his love of
Yep.
family,
Yep.
his love of home. There's two different characters.
Yeah.
And also left out of it is the great scene with Achilles, which I think is a tragedy that it was left out. The great scene of Achilles when Odysseus goes into Hades and he meets with Agamemnon, and Agamemnon gives him advice.
Hmm.
He meets with Achilles,
Yeah.
and it's a great scene. Achilles, he asks Achilles, would he, now that he's peaceful, etc., that he probably doesn't want to come back, and he said, I would do anything to be let out of here and to get back to life.
Yeah.
And it gives a very, very bleak impression of what it's like to be in Hades, which is not hell. It's the afterlife. It's been interpreted as hell, but it's not.
So would you recommend this movie?
I would. I'd recommend it to do what we're doing. Go and then
To
either
critique
read. I recommend reading, by the way,
Yes, I do too.
so you can live in this modern world and
Yeah.
guide yourself. But if you're going to read something, this is a hell of a thing to read because it will uplift you, and it's not hard to read. It's not. This is not. You get Fagel's interpretation of this. It's written as a poem,
Mhm.
but very easy to read. It isn't like if you have like trouble with Shakespeare, or you're not going to have that. There are 3 or 4 versions in very, very modern English.
Yeah.
So be careful. Make sure you get one in very modern English. If you get something from 100 years ago, you may have a hard time reading it,
Yeah.
unless you're a scholar, in which
Yeah.
case you're going to prefer it.
Or you want to stretch your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Fagel's is the best compromise. And it's on Penguin has it.
How about you, Ted? Would you recommend this movie?
I would. Yeah. I thought it was good. Just, make sure you're blocking out 4 hours of time. It's a long one. And if you're watching an IMAX, it's very loud. It's very much.
Oh yeah, it blows you away.
Yes.
How about you, Rob? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would recommend that our viewing audience right now makes note of the fact that the reason why the mayor chose to do this in the show is to hopefully give all of you insight as to why you should potentially consider honoring your God and not go into the world thinking you know everything, because you don't. And you won't know anything either if you take your news from media, which is, a skewed version of reality. You have to do your own homework. This literature exists, Mayor, right? Correct? And people can watch this movie and then they can go even deeper, which I will be doing now, in an attempt to get a better sense of how to conduct my life, right?
Oh, very nice. Very thoughtful.
I'll read you the
I
first
think that's
couple of
really
lines.
what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I'll read you the first couple of lines of the poem. Sing to me of the man, muse, the man of twists and turns, driven time and again off course, once he had plundered the hallowed heights of Troy. Many cities of men he saw and learned their minds, many pains he suffered. Heartsick on the open sea, fighting to save his life and bring his comrades home, but he couldn't save them from disaster, hard as he strove. The recklessness of their own ways destroyed them all. The
Wow.
blind fools, they devoured the cattle of the sun, and the sun god wiped from sight the day of their return. Launch out on his sorry muse, daughter of Zeus. Start from where you will. Now here's probably the immortal line. Sing for our time too. Homer is saying, make this relevant for whatever time it's being, whatever time it is being recited.
Absolutely.
And then it begins with Calypso. And then it begins with Calypso, and the discussion between Athena and her father in order to get him some mercy.
Yeah.
Her father Zeus.
So what did you think?
Obviously, knowing the poem, I could see what things were not in it, some things that they skimmed over or changed. But having said all that, I thought entertainment value, it was, I would recommend somebody to go see it. I would not recommend someone to go to the IMAX. It was almost painful for me
You think
until Ted got me the headphones.
Isn't that
It
interesting?
really was.
Because I kind of selected the IMAX because I was going to see it. You might as well
Me
see it
too.
in its
I was
grandeur.
excited for it.
But believe it or not, there's even a bigger IMAX than that. We were at the second level. They don't have the biggest level one here in New Hampshire. So we were at like a second level
What
IMAX.
makes it a second level?
I don't know.
The
That was big.
size of the screen, or
Maybe the room.
I hope
Maybe.
not noisier.
no? And you know
I
what?
think the size of the screen.
One of the employees at the theater, I said, "Geez, I'm so grateful that you gave my colleagues some headphones for me. I'm almost walked out. I couldn't handle the noise." And he said, "Yes, they've had a lot of complaints, and he thinks it's because Nolan filmed in IMAX quality."
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Where others will film regularly. Here's where my
Yeah.
nativity sit.
100% correct. I remember reading that.
Yeah. And when you have it filmed regularly and then go into IMAX, it's not so loud. But because this was filmed in IMAX a lot, and they can't turn it down.
The
he
levels
said.
are naturally high.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
But there is I don't think the IMAX is louder, bigger screen. So if we had watched it on the standard screen, we would have missed about 30% of it on the edges,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
So you saw, but then there's another 20% we missed.
Mm,
So I don't think it becomes any louder.
yeah.
I think it remains pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
I hope not, because otherwise you wouldn't have ears left, right?
So it sounds like the four of us gave it a thumbs up to see. for
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
whether you like it or even if you don't like it, it's worth seeing.
Yeah.
Because it'll make you think. And boy, do we need opportunities to think.
We have to expand our minds. Well, I
Because-
can't wait till you pick the next film we're gonna.
Yeah.
we're gonna
Well,
go
let's
see.
hope there's probably a couple of years before one comes out. Given
Well, rumor has it that there may be something in the works with the life of a
of me,
very famous guy,
auditions.
America's mayor.
I tell you,
Modern day.
given the coming attractions, as we used to call it,
Yes.
there's nothing worth it coming out for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, they went all the way to Christmas time with coming attractions that were absurd.
I would like theater to come back, movie theater.
It
It
was
was a
one-
big part of my upbringing, going to movies. I brought my kids to. Oh, and by the way, we were very cheap because my father would make the popcorn before we went and would bring in drinks. And I'm still the same way, except I don't make the popcorn. But there's something that's lacking in today's movies. It's either they're redoing the classics and changing it and not making it entertaining, or it's just not worth paying the money. So I'd love to see a comeback, because during World War II, believe it or not, and the Depression, so that was a little before World War II, movies were so big and it cost a dime, like in the Depression era. But they were making money. Why people needed that escapism? So I do.
But there was
hope-
nothing else competing, so they didn't
Yeah,
have
they didn't have TV
HBO
with
and
1,000 channels,
and
yeah,
you could
yeah.
watch the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
And this is the kind of movie that you do want to watch in a theater, because it's a magnificent. It's a
Big-
it's a big
Yeah.
movie.
You
like
become immersed in
Braveheart.
it.
Yeah, Braveheart is great in a theater.
Yeah,
too.
you want to
The
see Braveheart.
Patriot.
To see that one
Yeah, yeah.
speech, you want to see Braveheart in the theater.
Yeah.
But a more intimate movie, it doesn't necessarily need that. But all of the coming attractions, I wish I had made a list of them. It was one awful movie after another.
Exactly.
One ridiculous robot machine fighting with another robot machine about the end of the world and the beginning of some other world. And
A lot of monster ones.
oh
it
yeah,
seems
one
like, a lot of
monster,
them.
one ridiculous monster movie after another. There wasn't a single movie about human beings.
Yeah.
These proto-human beings. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know how young people. I mean, movies, books, they develop a lot of your thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's
if you
what I'm
and,
sitting here thinking right now.
A movie like A Wonderful Life.
and if
right,
you're
so
thinking,
beautiful.
your thinking is you should go around shooting people.
And why?
a robot.
Because we are attempting to be a more perfect union, right? We're
Well,
not
we're
perfect.
becoming a less perfect union.
I think, when you look at America, and even generation after generation, right, my family, every generation did better in this country,
Yes.
including I was the first one to get a PhD. It's just we better. This is the first time in society, and I think it's worldwide, we're regressing. We're regressing intellectually, how we communicate with one another. Now, if somebody has a difference of opinion, instead of honoring that and having discussion, you have to hate the
Right.
person.
And-
We're regressing as
It's-
a
it's
society.
And
also-
if you talk to me on that subject, I'm going to say it's not by coincidence. I believe it is being purposely hoisted onto society for nefarious reasons. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Go ahead.
You're a conspiracy theorist, but maybe you're not wrong.
Right.
No, there's no doubt it's a conspiracy. It's called Marxism.
Right.
And it started about 1850, and it's going on hot and heavy right now. And what they did was they deteriorated our education.
Yeah.
And they accomplished all the purposes that take God out, take parents out, take any form of morality out, make them a bunch of amoral, useless, unprincipled idiots,
And they tested it during
get them
the
to hate their
pandemic,
country.
how much we followed what the government said.
Yeah.
Catholic Church
What do you
didn't
think
fight
the
to stay
burning of the
open.
flag is all about? You think it's accidental? What do you think the destruction of the monuments are all about? Think it's accidental? It's to deprive you of your
Your
history,
history.
to deprive you of your
Amen.
culture,
Yep.
to deprive you of your religion.
Especially
And
your
no
children.
one was carrying some
Yeah.
of that forward, not completely. The good thing about this is it raises, hopefully, among inquisitive people, the desire to go do a little studying and find out what this thing is really all about,
It-
because it's a lot bigger and a lot deeper than this woke director presented.
They hope they can warp your mind, but they know they can warp your children's mind, and that's what they're after.
Yes. Yes.
You're not wrong.
That's the reason why Charlie Kirk is no longer here.
Well, we got a lot of interesting observations. We're
fun, too.
glad we had the opportunity to talk about this, because I think it has a lot to do with the challenges that we're facing as a country that's being brainwashed, and that is in full-fledged battle with the forces of communism and the forces of extremist Islam. They are trying to destroy us and take us over. And the only thing that's going to defeat them is our commitment to principle and understanding the principles that allow us to prevail, the way Odysseus did. He made some mistakes, but his essential focus, he survived, not because of all those crazy battles like the robots, because of his mind. That's how he survived. And that's what Homer was trying to teach. And I think you get it. So let's all remind everyone that this is a weekend coming up, which means it's time to spend a little time praising God and thanking God for all that we have, your family, and pray for the people of Israel, and pray for the people of Ukraine, and pray for the people of Iran. Pray for us, because we're in a battle for our civilization, and pray for our president so that he remains healthy and strong and able to make the difficult decisions. Pray for Scott Lebedo too, who had a very close call last night and seems to have come through it, thank God. So thank you very much for helping. I really appreciate it. You guys are so
Thank
smart.
you, Mayor, for suggesting it.
And we'll do it
And
again.
paying for us to go.
Thank you so much, Mayor, for doing this for the show and taking all of us to that movie. It
Good.
was
We'll find other
experience.
things like this
Yeah.
that can help everybody. God bless America. Let's all say
Yeah.
it. God bless
Bless
America.
Bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply